What's up, everybody? How's it going? Austin Practical Elite Performance, coming at you live. It's Tuesday. Hope everybody's enjoying their Tuesday. Hope you guys are getting some tacos, if that's your thing. Today, going live, just wanted to talk a little bit about, if you hadn't seen it yet, I posted a client spotlight transformation for my client, Dom. She's a freaking badass, and just want to chat a little bit about today, about her and her, I guess transformation and the progress she made and everything, working together, because she is, an extremely busy person when it comes to her work, and so I felt like a lot of you could probably relate to that because we're all fucking busy. Let's be honest, like at least in some capacity, whether you're busy with work, whether you're busy with your kids, whether you're busy with school or whatever. Like I talked about this a little bit yesterday, but being intentional with your time and having a game plan when it comes to your fitness and your nutrition is going to take you a long, 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 long way and make it feel more possible and doable and less stressful than if you're just like going about it all willy-nilly and trying to figure it out on your own while also having a crazy work life like schedule or like crazy kind of job or whatever. So let's jump into it a little bit. So I just wanted to kind of go over what all she kind of achieved and everything, just because like it's pretty impressive and kind of pretty inspiring too. I feel that way about a lot of my clients just because like they're coming from places where they either felt like their goals weren't necessarily achievable because of their circumstances, and I've heard that time and time again. Like I've heard that time and time again where people are like, I just I have a desk job, or I'm stuck at home with my kids, or I'm doing whatever, and it made me feel like my goals weren't achievable, or it made me feel like I couldn't do it. And a lot of that stems from just not feeling like, from a sense of feeling like overwhelmed or like isolated or whatever that may be, because you're not happy with where you're at right now, and you want to get to the other, you're at point A right now and you want to get to point B, but you don't know how to do it. And that can cause like self-doubt, can cause a lot of things. And so, having a game plan is one of the best ways to feel confident with what you're doing, that it's actually going to take you where you're at, to where you want to be. And so like with her, like she was fucking badass. Like she like working a shit ton like crazy and like still making it happen when it came to working together. Like it's one of those things, like, and I've talked about this, like the people that do the best in my working with me are the ones that are honest with me and honest with themselves. They're the ones that are willing to take action. They're quote unquote like considered coachable. They they listen, they ask questions, they're not afraid to be vulnerable in a sense to get out of their comfort zone. And Dom fit like all of those like really, really well. And at times there's always a learning curve to a lot of that stuff. Anytime you're trying something new, there's like a learning curve, and there's some hesitation, and there's some self-doubt or worry or whatever. But being mindful enough to recognize that's what's going on and able to push past that, that's what's important. And I think she did a really good job with that. So she ended up, she lost a total of 10 pounds from when she started to when we kind of ended. And the other thing I want to talk about too is like when you're somebody, and this was the case for her, like when you're somebody who's more on like the slender side coming into things, or you're already kind of at a lower body weight, but you wanting to recomp and things like that, you're wanting to lose weight. The first thing that you need to think about, and I've talked about this before, is like maybe it's not so much about going for a weight. Maybe it's more for going for a look. I think that's way more important, because especially when you're already kind of on the slender side, or you're already kind of short, or or whatever, like the amount of weight that you're going to lose compared to somebody who's like severely overweight or whatever, like the proportion, like in terms of like what you're going to lose compared to what they might end up losing, you can't compare yourself to other people. You need to keep that in mind. And that was something that I felt like I tried to focus on a lot whenever Dom and I were working together, was was, like it's you versus you. Like, it's your journey. And I know, like I do it too sometimes. It's hard to like not compare ourselves to other people, because it's always in our faces. We're always seeing people like, oh, they lost like 30 pounds in like, a couple months. Like, why didn't that happen to me? But like, they're in a whole different chapter of their life compared to where you're at. You guys are like, you're trying to compare chapters when you're two totally different books. And so, recognizing that and acknowledging that and just being mindful of that and being, reminded of that is really, really helpful in, ensuring that like you're not, getting down on yourself, for, comparing who's making what kind of progress. And so that's something that's really important, to recognize. But like she went through like, she was getting her workouts in, like she was putting in the fucking work, like working, crazy long hours throughout the week, during like certain, like a lot of you guys don't know this, but like, when it comes to like fisheries work, so she's a fish nerd. I'm a fish nerd. Went to school for that kind of stuff. And there's a field season and there's kind of like an off season, where you're spending more time like kind of like in labs, and working on like data and stuff like that. And then the field season is crazy because you're out there on the water, like trying to get as much like, data or do as much like, surveys and things like that as possible within that span of time. And that's kind of what was going on whenever she like kind of started this. And so it's like, not only was she starting something new in terms of like a fitness journey and working on, making these changes, but, she was busy as shit. Like she was busy as shit. Like, like that's the reality of life sometimes. Like sometimes, where there's going to be, kind of peaceful periods where there's not a whole lot going on, especially if you're working like, not a, like I guess like a more standard job. But then there's times in your life when it's time to like shit's going crazy, like life's getting a little bit busy and crazy and hectic. And so it's very relatable to everybody that I'm sure like everybody that's watching this right now is like felt like that at some point in their life. You might be feeling like that right now. You might be feeling like, holy shit, like how am I supposed to handle all this? And that's what she was kind of like going through, during this period of time, when we started working together. So it was like, like being, like intentional with our time and having a game plan, like in terms of your workouts and things like that, is super important if you're going to be like trying something like this. So that's what we did. Like, we worked together. We figured out what was going to work for her, and what wasn't going to work for her. Like, we chatted, pretty regularly, in terms of trying to figure out, what's working and what's not, like how can we try to like, condense, like, once things really started to pick up for, with her and her work and things like that, we were like, how can we try and like, condense your workouts to make them, like more manageable time wise, because you're so spread thin. And so like, those are things that like all get taken into consideration when we're working together. And so that's what we did. Like, and she like, kicked ass. Like she made it work. She worked out like, like nobody's business. And, we also learned, and I taught her how to, track her calories and her macros and figure out all this stuff. So she had like a really good foundational understanding of her nutrition. And like one of the things that, when we first started working together, like it may have been even like after the first weekend of us working together, she was like, oh my gosh, like I've been eating so like I don't know if she said like terribly or what, but it was just like, I've not been eating like, I didn't realize like I was like eating, this much, or there was like, or I wasn't realizing like how many calories and how much fat is in all this like fast food and this gas station food and things like that. That's easy and convenient, that a lot of people normally eat. And it's like having that realization, like just acknowledging it and starting to be mindful of that. That's huge. That's something that a lot of people realize when they first start doing this stuff and start tracking these things. It's like, holy shit, like I've been eating all that fat and all the like, and not that there's anything inherently wrong with that, but just the amounts and the proportions of things that, people like in like your standard, like American diet or whatever, like on the daily is crazy. And so like recognizing that was a big, I think a big piece of the puzzle, and start, in a good way to like, kickstart things, and kind of set the tone, which was great. It was like, a tone of like, like learning and wanting to learn and ask questions and things like that. And so, I always really appreciated that when we were working together. And so, but honestly, like it was really crazy. And that's the other thing too, is like, body recomp is a big thing. Like body recomp, especially if you're new to lifting, and you're new to, strength training, things like that, which, to my knowledge, that she was relatively new to strength training. you're gonna go like you newbie gains are a real thing. Like newbie gains are a real thing. Especially when you first start working out if you haven't done it in the past. Strength training, that's like stimuli, like that new stimuli to your body's going to start adapting to it. Like, because imagine like strength training is a stressor to your body. So your body's like, whew, shit, I got to get prepared to do this again since this is the thing that we're doing now. And so what happens is your body kind of goes through a quicker, rapid transformation, which also causes, some like distortion of what progress you're making if you're only focusing on the scale, which was something that, a lot of times people need to be reminded of regularly, like, because the scale can like get in your head and it can mess with your like how you're feeling and your mood and things like that, because you can get down on yourself. You're like, shit, like I've been putting all this work in and I'm not seeing the numbers move. That sucks. And it's like, having that like, mentality about it, like it's gonna mess with you and it's gonna make you want to quit. But if you're mindful and you're being reminded and you're, aware that of what's really going on is you're having like this downward trend in weight, you're having weight loss from the fat that you're losing, but because you're kind of going through like a newbie gain / body recomp phase, you've also got some muscle gain happening, which causes an increase in weight. So a lot of times for people, especially if you're kind of on the shorter side, like I've noticed that this happens, it seems to happen more often, like you're going to have like these two opposing forces and that scale might not move that much, but the way that you're going to fucking look and like how your physique's going to look and like, how just overall how you're going to look and feel and like the amount of more energy you're going to have, like that's going to be way different from when you started to where you are now. And I think that, that's definitely something that happened, more like towards the end of us working together. And so, honestly, like it's just one of those things where it's like, like not having the time is kind of like an excuse that we tell ourselves, because and it's not necessarily like, it's not like false. We really a lot of times feel like we don't have the time to do it. But once we learn a lot of these skill sets in terms of like time management and, making sure and having like, and just having a plan in general and having like, something that you can be confident with and believe that's going to work and get you from point A to point B, that takes a lot of the self-sabotage and a lot of the self-doubt and a lot of the stress out of it. And that was 3 things, but, and then the other thing too, is like you recognize and you realize like, like my goals are achievable and they are possible and I can do this. And that concept of like not having enough time becomes, a lot less of like an option to be an excuse. And that's something like, like I'm really happy that we got to work together and that, she was able to, gain this confidence. And she even said it herself, like, she went from like dragging her feet to like, wanting to go to the gym to now she can't wait to go to like work out after she gets off work. Like now it's something that she's like, wow, I am that person now that like enjoys going to the gym and I like doing it because it makes me feel better and it makes me feel like I'm accomplishing something. I'm getting stronger. As you can see, like, you're progressing and things like that. And it's just a beautiful fucking thing that somebody gets to experience that. And I'm glad that we were able to make that happen for her. Because overall, she was just a badass client. She was awesome. So anyways, don't say that you don't have the time, say, my health's not a priority right now and see how that feels. Because, it's one of those things like we're all fucking busy. We're all busy. Everybody's busy. You're not the only one who's busy. If you're watching this, you're like, oh, I don't have the time. Like, you have the time. Like I said yesterday, you either just need to get more intentional with your time and use your time more wisely so it frees up space in your day so that you can, or you just need to like actually want it bad enough and like and do it and like just like take action. Like there's a reason why everybody that I work with is seeing such great results and why they even work with me in the first place. Is because they took that first step and they took action and they like, believed in themselves at least enough to attempt to get their foot in the door to work together. So, I'm really glad that happened though, because like, like I said, great client. It was a great time working together and I'm excited to see what else she's going to accomplish. So that being said, that's my life for today. Hope you guys enjoyed this. And I hope that, if you're somebody who right now is struggling and feels like, they don't have time or that they're too busy or that, they can't like do it or that their goals aren't attainable, One, like, stop. Like, that's not true at all. Like, you can find the time and you can do it. You just might not know how to do it yet, and that's okay. Like, that's okay. Like, you just need to work on developing that, or reach out to somebody. Doesn't even have to be me. Just like reach out to somebody to like help you figure that shit out. And then the other thing too is like, your goals are attainable. Like, they might not be attainable in the time span that you think they might be, but they're attainable. You can do it. Like it is doable. It's achievable. You just don't know how to do it yet, and that's okay. Like, you just might not have the knowledge on how to do that yet, and you just have to either work on getting that knowledge on your own, or you need to ask somebody to help you figure it out. There's no shame in asking for help, like, at all. Like don't waste like so much time and stress and like make yourself feel like your goals aren't attainable because you're trying to do it on your own and you just don't know how to do it yet. Like that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean that it's not possible. It just means you haven't figured it out yet. So anyways, got off on a little tangent there, but that's my live for today. If you watch this, give it a like if you're liking what I'm saying here. And don't forget to put hashtag replay if you're watching this, at a later time. I appreciate it. Your comments are appreciated. It helps me, reach out to other people. And if you, heard this and it resonates with you and you're like, man, that's totally me. Like, shoot me a message. Or if it's somebody that that you're like, man, that's totally them. Like that just hit. That's like, that fits them to the bill. Tag them in this shit. Like, let them know that this is a thing, and give them some hope, give them some like a reason to like try and pursue their fitness goals. So hope you guys like this. Hope this was helpful. I'll talk to you tomorrow. See ya.